What's up? Good afternoon, good evening. Thank you all for tuning in today. I know it is Wednesday, not Sunday, our usual broadcasting day, but today is a special episode. Today is an emergency broadcast. Unfortunately, we are here to speak light into or bring light to a circumstance with a 15-year-old child. Bizarre, wild situation with a 15-year-old boy. But before we get into that, as always, we give honor, love, and respect to Leroy Powell, who is now our young ancestor. Leroy, if you're unfamiliar, Leroy was 15 years old in 2014. He was a witness to an attempted murder turned infanticide, and he gave a witness statement. But the thing about it is that his witness statement was played on the 11 o'clock news the night of the preliminary hearing. Leroy was 15. That means he was a minor. But that did not stop our local media from broadcasting both him and his mother completely exposed to everybody with no regard to their safety or their lives, or the fact that he's a minor. So very, soon after that, he received death threats, and soon after that, he was found dead. This is not the first time that that's happened. This is not the first time our local media or mass media has in fact impacted our lives in such a real way. And it's not going to be the last. So it's super important that we always hold the media accountable. That means that you don't have to answer them if they show up after a tragedy and they're putting cameras in your face and acting all wild and asking you questions. You ain't got to talk to them. You ain't got to talk to them right then and there if you're too, things are going on. You ain't got to talk to them ever. They are not the authority of anything. You can tell them to go away. If you don't want to be recorded and they're in your area, or if they're trying to get information, you can tell them to go away. If you just want to check in, just to make sure you're sure of their journalism, you can ask for their portfolio, but they are not the authority of anything. And like I said, what the media does impact our lives on a regular basis. So make sure we're holding them accountable. And when they say weird stuff and do weird stuff, have headlines that are super violent, calling Black people criminals and whatever other negative derogatory thing, make sure you call that out. That's not okay. It's not okay at all. Make sure you call that out. As a reminder, it only takes about 25% of the community for change to occur. You don't need everybody on your side, dog. You don't need everybody on your side. If you notice that something is wrong, if you notice that something needs to be changed, or if you just notice that something could be better, you can start, and it could just be you, or it could be you and your friend. It could be you and your mom, you and your dad, you and your group of friends, or whoever it is, and y'all can get started. It's consistency that's key. So as long as you believe in what you're fighting for or standing up for, be consistent with it, lean into your faith, and eventually you'll see the fruits of your labor. Ask me how I know. I have a few updates before we get started. As always, as to remind everybody that the COVID rent relief program in Allegheny County is continuing on until September of 2022. So if you are having a hard time paying for your rent or utilities, you can definitely apply for the program. Most people qualify, so I would definitely look out for it. If you feel like you might not, this is not like your traditional programs or whatnot. So I would still give it a shot. Like I said, most people do qualify for this program because it's, in relation to COVID. So you can go online at covidrentrelief.alleghenycounty.us and apply. It's a pretty simple process. But if you need a little extra assistance, or if you don't have access to a computer or whatever, you can check out any of the drop-in centers around the county. If you to know me to know it is to also know that I also run the Wellness Collective, and we are running one of the drop-in centers in McKeesport. The address is 335 Fifth Avenue, McKeesport, PA 15132. We are open Monday through Friday. On most days, we're open 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. On Thursdays, and this is important, on Thursdays, we're open 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. So don't come there at 10:30 a.m. on Thursday calling and cussing me out, because we ain't coming. We're going to be there at noon, and then there to 8 on Thursdays. Every other day, like I said, is 10 to 6. Also, in the drop-in center, we do have a little free store and a food pantry. So if you want to come in and check out anything, or if you would like to donate anything, you can do that during that time as well. Make sure it's quality products. And things that, if it's something that you wouldn't want, don't try to give it to nobody else. So if it's rundown shoes, you can throw those in the trash. We don't need it. Nobody will need it. And it's okay. You don't have to feel guilty for throwing things away. But if you do have things that you would like to donate and they are of quality, condition, go ahead and donate it so your neighbors can check it out as well. Last couple of things. the Wellness Collective, we are looking for more community delivery drivers. Our community delivery program is to make sure that people have access to things like food, household items, etc. And we, tend to look for people in the community. We do pay folks for this role. It's somewhere between $15 an hour or so, or $5 per delivery, $7 per delivery, depending on how far it is out. So if you are interested, you can hit us up, call text 412-568-3579, or you can email admin@thewellfolk.org. You must have a car and current insurance because they do use their own vehicles for that role. And then the last thing, the other thing that I do, I run the self-care housekeeping. We're also hiring for wellness providers. We work in the home. If you're familiar with it, familiar with us. If you are not familiar with us, you can check us out on Facebook or whatever, or on our website. Our folks are paid somewhere between $15 and $30 an hour, depending on the visits that they're doing. Typically, the average is $20 an hour, somewhere in that arena. If you're interested in that, you can email us at peacelives@selfcarehousekeeping.com. And I think that's the last thing I'm going to run my mouth about today. So I tried to get through that pretty quickly because I want to make sure that we get to what we're here for sooner rather than later. So if you know me and have been rocking with the Wellness Collective, or not the Wellness Collective, the Narrative Justice, or myself for a while, I've had this podcast for a while. And the reason why that I started with this podcast was because, police violence is a very real thing. I've done community police relation work for 10 years before I realized that the problem isn't that there's a miscommunication. The problem is that police don't acknowledge that there are actually violence. And of course, not all of them, to know me is to know that my mother was a police officer. So actually, my whole life growing up, I had a really good relationship with the police, because they all knew me. Like, they knew my mom. I didn't understand what the problem was until I became an adult. And, and tried to lean into like building these relationships with the communities that I'm from and the police that I knew, because, I didn't see a problem. But trying to do that work, you realize pretty quickly is that the police don't acknowledge when there is misconduct. They don't acknowledge brutality locally. They'll say, like, if it's happening somewhere else, like in a different state across the country, it's like, oh yeah, that's bad what they did over there, but that doesn't happen here. It's like, that's not true. Like, come on, man. Like, that's not true. That's not true. And so, like, noticing that there's that battle there, that there's just this lack of honesty, is this intellectual dishonesty that happens here, that like we can't move forward as a community if y'all are not going to be honest about the way y'all actually show up in Black communities specifically, right? So that's how we got here in the first place with having this podcast. And I'm thankful to have the space, though it's always kind of like crushing and heartbreaking when we have folks who need their voices to be heard and their stories to be told, like this young man and his family today. So Terron Luster has had the most bizarre run-in with the police. And I say bizarre because, first of all, that it shouldn't have happened. Like, like the way they showed up in the first place was wild. And then how this child ended up getting involved is wild. And the fact that he's still involved is super wild. I'm not going to tell his story because it's not my story to tell. I am going to bring on his mother, Miss Nicole Luster. Nicole, how are you?
I'm okay.
Where I really appreciate you taking the time and coming on. First of all, like, advocating for your baby, because I know I can only imagine what it is that you're going through right now. But I would like to make sure that folks know what's going on with your child and know what to do, because I know you got to feel like what can I do right now,
Yes.
So before I get started, can you tell me like where y'all from, and can you tell me a little bit about Terron?
We're from East Pittsburgh. We've been living here for 22 years. Terron is my 15-year-old son, which this little boy been working since he was 11 years old. He's worked in the food restaurant, school, and work. After that, he turned 12 and he started doing rehab housing, which he knows how to do: electrical, carpentry, painting. He does it all. And this is what he's into: school and work. Terron is a child that doesn't go outside. school, or he go to school, come home, he's in the house, he's on his game. Sometimes I have to call him like, did you eat something yet? Get down here and eat. And that's just the type of child he is. Like, he don't bother nobody. He's never been into no fights. He's never had no run-ins with no police. He's never been arrested. He does not have a criminal, no nothing. He's a good kid in school. Like, he's just a good kid. He's respectful. He has a lot of respect for people. He's caring. He's an awesome kid. He's not a kid that just be out here just running around and this. No, that's not what I raised. I raised a child to be successful. And at 13, that's what he started doing. And he's still doing it, but not at this moment because he's falsely being accused of something
Right.
that he didn't do.
Right. And so, like, the stuff that he likes to get into, you said he's into carpentry. He knows
Carpentry, painting, electrician, plumbing. You can do plumbing. Yes, my baby can redo a whole rehab house.
Wow.
And that's what he's looking for to do real estate.
Oh.
That's what he wants to do, real estate.
Okay. He sounds like a phenomenal kid.
Yes.
Phenomenal kid. So can you tell us what happened?
Well, it was an incident down the street that happened that I was not aware of until I seen little kids, and they end up telling me. I go out there, I see ambulance, I see detective, all that stuff. So, that night, I have cameras, video cameras on my outside my house, front and back. But this particular day and night, that my cameras wasn't charged. I had them on the charger. But when they came to my house, they ended up seeing it. And he said, I knocked on your door because you got cameras. And, he's telling me about the shooting. And I'm like, oh, wow. So he shows me a picture. It's a picture with a guy covered up. And he was like, do you know who this is? No, but if I see anything, hear anything, I'll let you know. You give the card. That was it. The end of it. Never heard nothing else. I'm at work like a couple of weeks later. And all of a sudden, my daughter's calling me crying, talking about there's all these police at your house. And I'm like, for what? I don't know. They won't say nothing. So by the time I get up here, they're already in my house. I can hear them in here. And I'm like, I need to get in my house. I need to see the warrant. This is my house. Let me see this warrant. Like, they was not trying to let me in my house. So eventually they end up letting me in my house. So I'm like, well, where's the warrant? But I can hear them say 5 different names. And I'm like, nobody lives here by that name. Nobody lives here by that name. Well, is this your name on the paper? Yes, my name is Nicole Luster. Is this your address? Yes, that's my address. So then I asked, like, well, what is this about? Oh, so he asked my son, what's his name? My older son said his name. Then he asked my younger son, what was his name? And he told him, Terron. Oh, well, let's go talk out in the back. So we go back there, we're talking. Now he's telling us what this is about. I'm like, my son don't play with guns. That's not in our nature. Like, we don't do none of that. So after all said and done, he recorded, whatever. Can we search your house? Go ahead. Ain't nothing here. I have nothing to hide. I know what my kids do and I know what I do. So he searched the house and he ended up finding a gun. And I'm like, I didn't think it was real. I had to walk to the car to make sure it was real, and it was real. So I asked my son, I said, who? So my son's like, it was me, my brother, and the 2 other guys in there. That's all 4 of them that they pulled out his room. So I'm like, well, this is why I say no company in the house, because you never know what happened. So 2 days later, the other gentleman texted my son, apologized, and said, I'm going to turn myself in. He done that.
So it's just so, folks are clear and I'm clear. The police come to your house. coming to your house, looking for a bunch of other people, apparently, like named a bunch of other folks that they were looking for. None of those
Yes.
live or were in the house, were affiliated with the house.
No.
And then your son said his name, and then they go, you and the police go outside to talk about what's going on. And they said,
Yes.
whatever. And then they find a gun in your son's room, and there were 4 boys in there total, and they took, they assigned, the issue with your son. But the
Yes.
one of the other boys said, like, no, this was me. Like, and I'm going to make sure that you're not being held accountable for me. And then he went and confessed to that, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So just wanted to make sure that I was understanding and everybody else was understanding what you just said there.
Yes.
Okay.
He confessed.
And so what happened after this other child, when this other boy confessed?
They let him go. They let him go. They end up letting him go. So when it all came down to me getting a phone call talking about watch the news, I'm like, watch the news for what? When I seen the news and I seen how they had my son plastered all over that news, I'm like, oh, oh no, oh no. So I end up calling out there, like, what's going on? Oh, well, there's a warrant issue out for your son's arrest. So now I'm like, I'm turning him in, but I'm turning him in with his lawyer. That's how we're gonna do that. And at first, I had a free attorney. That didn't do no good because my son ended up sitting. Excuse me. So when I had turned him in, the young man went to the barracks, and actually my fiance walked him down to the state troopers, and he made a confession to the state troopers. They arrested him. They called his dad. They followed him out to the barracks, and he made a statement at the barracks. They let him go.
So y'all
They let him go.
for this. You said y'all walking down there, y'all were present for him to give a confession?
My fiance, yes, was present for him to give a confession. They arrested him. They called his dad. The dad followed him out there. He made a statement, and right back out he was.
And what was the reason that they let him go? Like, I couldn't imagine confessing to a crime that someone else is sitting for and being let go behind that.
They said that he was not credible. Not credible? What do you mean? I'm confessing to a serious crime. What do you mean not credible? Ain't nobody just going to walk up in here and just say, oh, I shot this person and I'm going to take this blame for this person. No. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Like that young man said, you didn't have nothing to do with this. I don't even know how your name got involved. I don't even know how you got involved. And it's just killing me when I get this feedback from this officer, and it's like, you're just trying to pin something on my son that you have no type of evidence on my son. We have a picture. You don't have a picture of my son. If you got a picture of my son, like you said in this report, you got it from Facebook. How is that? How is that? My son is not the type of child that's just going to get up and just go. How can you become you got to be into the stuff. You got to be into the stuff. Just that's not even in his system. That's not even in his system. Not at all. This officer is making my son look like, oh yeah, you did. No, no, not at all. We're not doing that, and you're not going to get my child like that.
So I'm wondering about. They said that the guy that confessed, it wasn't a credible. He wasn't a credible. Whatever. It wasn't a. He's not credible, basically. And I'm wondering, did they tell you what that meant? Like, what makes him not a credible person?
Never said what it meant. Never said what it meant. This is just this officer. Never said what it meant. It's just this officer never said what it meant. And I'm like about my son, like I'm going to look into everything. I'm going to do whatever I got to do for my baby because you are wrong. You have a job. You were sworn in to. And you haven't been doing your job. You've been messing with, and it just gets to me that this little boy is innocent and he's 15 years old. Why are you trying to mess up his life? Why?
It's even if what worries me is that even if like everything at the end of the day is cleared out and your son is able to get back to his life, the fact that he's still there now, right? Like he was there since what, the 10th, December 10th?
Yes. I had to turn him in December 10th.
And it's now December 22nd, which is 12 days. It's only 12 days, but it is 12 days. And thinking about how many folks are just held, right? Like Black people in particular are held until they're proven innocent, right? Which is supposed to be different, right? Like you're supposed to be innocent till you're proven guilty.
Proven guilty, exactly.
And then having your life disrupted in this way, right? He's 15. Yes. You have to be in school, like, and regardless, like it's traumatic, first of all, to be snatched off the street. It's traumatic to be, in prison, period. Right, wrong, or indifferent. Like it just is, and then to have your life stop for however long, and for folks to figure out like, well, what they're going to do. Like it's wild that he has to sit in ACJ for them to figure out what it is that's going on and what they're going to do, especially when someone else could like confess to the crime that he's being held on. Like that doesn't, It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know the ins and outs. I'm saying it doesn't make sense to me.
It don't make no sense to me neither.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all.
The arresting officer is Adam Sikorsky.
Yes.
Is he a state trooper or is he a city police?
He's a state trooper.
Okay. So Adam Sikorsky, state trooper Adam Sikorsky, you all looked into it, like, and I come to look into it, did a little digging myself. And again, why it sticks out to me like that sitting time, waiting for someone to try to convict you of something, right? Whether you did it or not, but that time of them trying to figure that out has such an impact on your life, like your person, to be forced down like that. And State Trooper Sikorsky has apparently done this in the past.
Yes.
As we come to find out. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to post in the chat on all of the, wherever this is streaming at the moment, a couple of articles. Now, the first one will be in regards to a man who attempted to sue the folks responsible for falsely arresting him after a bar fight and someone had a gun. And apparently this man, Dalen McLee, I hope I'm saying his name right, was there. And actually from what I read, he disarmed somebody who was at the bar who had a firearm. He disarmed that person and took off running like everybody else. And Sikorsky shot at Dalen twice. Thankfully he missed, but he shot at this man twice and stated that, Dalen shot at him or whatever, like, and that's why he shot towards this man, which comes to find out that wasn't true. And there's video evidence against that. And so Dalen, went on to attempt to sue these folks for sitting him down. Now, and like I said, as I was thinking about it, Dalen was in jail for almost a year, waiting for this, like just waiting. Didn't do anything wrong.
Yes.
Matter of fact, probably saved lives because he disarmed somebody who had a gun, right? And
yes.
but still he was like he was criminalized, and still he had to sit down, and still his life was disrupted, and still he had the trauma of dealing with that circumstance. Also what's interesting, and I'm posting another link in the chat, is an article about the same man, a year or so after the fact, saving another officer's life who was in a car accident. And it just I mean, it's just context. It's just context, like, to be criminalized, to be dehumanized as a person and still remain a person, a human being, even after like people, folks have like didn't value you enough, like, and put you through all of that. So it made me think about your son as I was like unraveling all of these things about Sikorsky.
Yes.
And so, sorry. Oh, okay. I thought I heard something. So anyway, yeah. So when you all, because I didn't know anything about him, and that article, that initial article, was sent to me. When did y'all come across that information?
We had came across that information because it ended up being on the news right before they put my son on the news.
Mm.
And that's what caught me. And I'm like, that name sounds familiar. So I looked back and I said, this is him. This is that same officer. Like, he fabricates everything. Like, he's just at this point in time, like he's like he's messing up. You're messing up my 15-year-old son's life. And now that I found out and this came across, when I'm reading on you, you need to be stripped from everything, because you're not doing this right. You're not obeying what you were sworn into.
Mm.
And I just like can't believe, like, I'm really sitting in this spot right now. I really can't. Like, this it's like killing me. Like, it's sad. And I try to stay strong because I know what my son do. And just because you're an officer of the law, you ain't gonna tell me how my son is and how he lives. This whole community knows how my son is.
Mm. And you can see the love. Like, he has a lot of love, and you can see that all through this comment section. Can you tell us how is Terron holding up?
He was down a little bit and all that, but he's like, Mom, please, I need to get out of here. I'm like, I know, baby, I know. I'm trying everything. I'm sticking. I'm moving. I'm just pacing. I'm thinking of everything anybody I can run to, anybody can help me. I was like, I'm trying. So I told him about you. He said, Mom, you just brightened up my day. He said, thank you. And I know you're going to do your job and get us out. And I said, she got you. I said, like, this is just a process. It's something we got to go through. Just hold in there for me. He's like, I will. I love you. I said, I love you too.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And it sounds like he's been, staying, keeping his faith and staying even tempered and.
Yes, and he has been. I had spoke with his principal down the jail. He had called me. So Miss Luster's room wanted me to let you know that his tablet, he couldn't log in. And I'm like, okay, thank you. I'm like, but he called me Monday after 3. He was able to log in. He said, oh. He said, yeah, I just took him a bag of goodies. And, maybe he forgot to tell me because he got the goodies because he was waiting on his commissary. I was like, probably. He said, I just want to let you know, you raised a good kid. He's well-mannered. He's respectful. He has morals and all that. I said, yes, and my baby should not be down there. He said, I agree. If there's anything I could do to help get him out here sooner, let me know and I will. And this is a man that don't know my son that works in the jail. So him appearing, and he's saying that about, what type of kid I got.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You know what type of kid I got.
Absolutely. Someone had asked, is it possible for him to get bail since he's only 15?
His lawyer had got him a bail hearing. And at the bail hearing, they requested, the lawyer stood up, the lawyer spoke. So what it was is that he had a preliminary hearing at 1 o'clock that day. So the judge didn't deny the bail and he didn't approve it. He said he want to leave this open because he want to see what's going on with this case. He want to see what's going on with this case.
Wait, what? so there was a bail hearing,
Mm-hmm.
and the judge said, I'm not going to rule on this because I want to see how it plays out.
He wanted to see how it plays out. At that point in time, he thought the preliminary hearing was at 1 o'clock. But the DA ended up postponing it.
Okay.
So he didn't want to close that so he can't get bail. He wanted to leave it open so he could see what's going on with this case.
Got you.
So apparently I'm feeling that the judge sees something fishy in this report too.
I don't know if they give reason, but was there any reason given for why it was postponed?
Because my son got there and they didn't have, he didn't speak to anyone at that time.
I don't think I understand.
He didn't speak to an attorney at that time.
Oh, okay.
So being though he didn't speak to no attorney and there wasn't no attorney present to him, they postponed it.
Okay. When was the hearing postponed for?
That's what they said, because they didn't have nobody for Terron at that time. So I thought they was supposed to appoint you a attorney or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, they didn't appoint him attorney. Like the attorney hasn't even talked to my son. My lawyer been trying to get in there since last week. They will not let him in there. 10-day quarantine. And I'm like, somebody needs to speak to my son. His lawyer needs to talk to him.
Right. Yeah. Don't they have iPads? You can talk to him on an iPad.
And that's what he said. He said he has an iPad. But yeah, he said he's been trying to get in there. He's called the warden twice. I haven't spoke to him today because he wanted to speak to me after this. But he said he was calling the warden twice, and he said he was going to call the principal down there too, so he could speak with him just to get a little touch bases on stuff.
Okay.
So, I'm like this. This is why I'm out here talking and speaking and needing help, because I don't know. I've never been through this. I didn't prepare myself to go through this because I know what type of kids I got.
Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering, well, first, I mean, like, all of it sounds super wild, but yeah, like the fact that your son didn't have a lawyer already appointed to him, like, how do you? I don't know. I don't work for the courts, but I'm wondering, how do you set a hearing and not have a lawyer already appointed to the person that the hearing is for?
Exactly.
Yeah. A lot of things. When did they move the hearing to? Like, when was it scheduled just yet, or did you not hear about it yet?
Yes, January 7th.
January 7th. And is the courts open yet, or is it still COVID restricted?
It is open. We was down there. It's open. You have to have a mask on, but it's open.
So right now, what is it, if anything, what do you need people to do? Like, so like there's a huge community. Apparently your son is very much loved, right? by people who know you and don't. What can the community do to show up for you and your son and your family?
I need for them to believe in. I need for them to speak. I need for them to let them know that this officer is not right, and he's trying to pin something on my son that my son had no recognition of. I need help. I need some type of support, some type of help. I need this push. I need my son home. If anybody can help, I need people that if you could get to DAs, if you could get to the DAs and whoever down here at this courthouse, judges, whoever, I need it. Because my son should not be there. My son should not be there. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
I'm sorry.
You are absolutely fine. Can someone in the comment section grab the information for ACJ? I'm thinking about the warden. Anybody down there that we can make some phone calls to. That would be super helpful. Also, DA Zappala, Steven Zappala, who we already know and how he rolls. His phone number is 412-350-4400. That's down at the courthouse. That's not his office, but his main office in like wherever they are, but it is his downtown office. And if you're feeling very froggy, the courts are open. So 436 Grant Street, Pittsburgh, PA 15219. That's downtown at the courthouse, county courthouse. You can feel free to drop down and tell them how you feel in person. And you can ask him, why is Terron Luster at ACJ for a crime someone else has confessed to multiple times? And I want to stress that this other person has confessed to this crime that this baby is being held for multiple times and has been turned away for some strange reason. Again, Zappala's number is 412-350-4400. Now, we all know Steven Zappala. We know he is no friend to any of ours and hasn't been for the 20 plus years he's been the DA. If that's not a reason, quick plug that we need to get him out of there. This is the reason for Terron, right? Like, and everybody else who's been negatively impacted by his hand. Miss Nicole, if someone wanted to reach out to you and offer support, how can they get in contact with you?
They can call my cell phone at any time.
Is it okay for us to blast the number?
Yes.
What's
yes. 412-230-6062.
All right. And that's Miss Nicole's number, Terron's mom. So there's, like I said, there's plenty of love on here for Terron. If you've offered, I've seen several offers to support her and her family. If you can reach out to her and offer whatever it is that you can do. And if you if you don't need to or feel like you want to call her, call Zappala, call Zappala and call the warden, call everybody who's involved in this and ask them questions. Ask them why this child is down there. Why, when someone else confessed to the crime, ask why he didn't have a court-appointed attorney at his hearing. I believe I saw someone say that there should have been an attorney waiting for him at the hearing, and that wasn't the case. Why is that? Why would that ever be the case? And he's 15 years old, so now he had a bail hearing that he couldn't even participate in, and now he's sitting down there for longer than he needed to be. Why is that? Why would that ever be the case? Like I said from jump, like all of this sounds very strange from the time they even encountered your family, right?
Yes.
Like they came into your house asking for a whole bunch of other people, and didn't find the house. And then your son said his name, and I guess any kid will do. Like, is that what it was?
It was, you asked for my name and I gave it to you. Like, so you just picked me?
Come on, man. You said the hearing is January 7th?
Yes.
The next hearing is January 7th. Someone was asking in the chat. And folks can come to the hearing, correct?
Correct.
What time is it?
That.
Not sure you checked?
No, because he didn't send me the paper. But I will post. I will let you know.
Okay.
What time it was. but I know for sure it's January 7th. But he just said, Mom, it's January 7th, and he never gave me a time.
Okay. Sending much love and support and strength to Terron's older brother, Terry. Apparently he's having a hard time, first of all, with his baby brother being locked up. And then, having to live this and relive it. Like, so very much sending love and support to him and your family of having to deal with this. Y'all should not be dealing with this. It's super traumatic. Y'all should not be dealing with this.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you feel like is important for us to discuss right now today on this forum?
I just want my son. I just want my son. I want my son. Sorry.
You are
Sorry.
fine. You are fine. You are not the one who owes anybody an apology. You are not the one who owes anybody an apology. All right. Well, I really want to thank you again for having the strength, first of all, to get up and fight for your son, and then have the strength to come on and relive this and tell his story, because it's so important. It is so important.
Yes.
We talk about these things, right? And
Yes.
we're intimidated from talking about these things, right? Like this fear of retaliation, especially from the state. Like, no, I don't say anything because then they're going to hit harder. But it's actually in our silence. That's when they start to hit, because can't nobody see you. Can't nobody.
Mm-hmm.
They can do whatever they want because you're invisible and there's nothing you could do about it. But when we talk about these things, especially because your son ain't the only one that's down there for no reason. Your son ain't the only one who's been violated by the police. Your son is not the only one right now, before and then after him. It's not. And the more we recognize that, like, this isn't just happening to me, like, this is happening to all of us. There's way more of us than there is of them. And quite frankly, I would like to believe that there are more police, more judges, more attorneys who are doing the right thing than there are doing negative and violent things. They need to speak up too, right? Like, they need to tell those stories too and tell truth to power. Because otherwise, that's how them little raggedy folks get to run and terrorize our communities the way that they do.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Very much. Thank you again. And I'm gonna I did post, like I said, I posted those links in the chat, but I'm also going to put zappala's information in the chat, and I'm gonna find the warden's information to put in the chat as well, because the child should have access to his lawyer, like at the very least. Y'all not have access.
And that's what he said.
COVID or not, y'all have iPads. Like, it's 2021. It's about to be 2022, and you can access people in so many different ways. Why can't you get on the phone? So that we all can reach out. And everybody who's watching, please do share, continue to share, so that folks know what's going on with Terron. People should know that there's a baby sitting down at ACJ for no good reason. People should know that he was denied his bail hearing because there was incompetency somewhere that happened. And folks should know that this child is sitting for a crime that somebody else confessed to multiple times. He's 15. He's been at ACJ for 12 days now and counting. 12 days and counting for a crime that someone else confessed to, and nobody has answers. Like, nobody has answers. Wildness. Definitely share the podcast. If you find yourself pissed off one day and want to take it out on somebody, give Zappala a call. Let me go and throw that number back up there. Steven Zappala, that's our Allegheny County DA, is 412-350-4400. He can be found at 436 Grant Street, Pittsburgh, PA 15219. That's downtown, the downtown courthouse. He may or may not be there, but you can leave messages, or we can show up in droves and show him just like how much Terron is not invisible. He's not alone. He's not invisible. Ask Zappala why he's sitting down ACJ for a crime that someone else confessed to. Like, why is that even happening? If you want to reach out to Miss Nicole, her phone number is 412-236-6062. Call, offer your support, offer your prayer, offer whatever it is that you feel like you would need in a situation like this that she's dealing with. And I can only imagine. I'll call him and make sure she's eating, because it's really, really hard to eat, to sleep, to do the things that you regularly do when you are dealing with a trauma and dealing with a crisis. And make sure this woman is taken care of. She's our family. She's our family. Terron is our son, our brother, our cousin. He's our friend, our neighbor, Make sure this family is taken care of, and make sure people know that the most revolutionary thing that you can do is not look away.
Yes.
That's it. Again, thank you again. Thank you again, Miss Nicole.
Thank you.
Most definitely. Most definitely. We'll always look out for our own. That's period. So we're going to close up today. Thank you, everybody who's tuned in and have been showing so much love and support for Miss Nicole and Terron and their family. Continue to show that love and support. Like I said, share to make sure people know his story. Call zappala. Like I said, I'm gonna find the number for the warden at the jail. Make sure that Terron has access to his lawyer at the very least. That he has access to his lawyer who's been trying to get in contact with him since last week, and he has been denied that. There ain't no COVID. He has an iPad. They have iPads. Someone has a smartphone. Like they have phones to all these different ways. There's no reason for that to be happening. He should have access to his lawyer. His bail hearing should not be postponed. His hearing on the 7th should happen. That should absolutely happen without being postponed. There's no reason for it to be postponed again. All right, and with that, appreciate y'all. Appreciate you, Miss Nicole. I'll be keeping in touch with you. Like I said, I'm gonna connect you with whoever I know to connect you with. I'll be here as much as I can, and your family. If there's anything else in addition that I or we can do, definitely let us know. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Most definitely. Y'all be easy.